Good morning, precious. Mwah, 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 mwah. How you doing, baby? Happy Sunday. And today on Coffee and Conversation with your girl, Shakenya. When you get a minute, go to that YouTube channel, Coffee and Conversation with Shakenya. And hit subscribe. Damn, it's, Fist of Jesus, a Christian show. It's free. Do that for me and then go so far as look at some of the videos. Look at least 3. And if you see any of them that you like, please just hit share, guys. I appreciate it. I'm trying to be famous. I'm still on the same plan and mission. I still want to be famous, wealthy, successful. Right? I'm still on the same plan. So I'm working hard every day, right? Tap dancing for you, right? I'm even working on that Chris Brown. I almost got it. Yep. Almost that part. That part trips me up every time because I don't know which way to go after that, right? And then all the way down to the I almost got it. So y'all today, y'all look, remember this? This was a long time ago when I worked at Receiving Hospital. Oh no, y'all remember I was going through my stuff and all my papers and I seen this. I was a part of a campaign. They picked like 10 people out the whole campus. Yeah, so I've been doing stuff like this. So don't think that I'm just delusional for why I think I'm famous. I've been doing stuff like this. They had us on billboards and stuff all throughout the house. Like I've been doing stuff. This was like maybe 2012, maybe 11. Right before our little pocket, because where we at in the series? In the series, we in 2014. So this was probably a couple years before that. Yeah. So yeah, get a copy of my book, Dysfunctional Family Knot. Yep, you can get it from lulupublishing.com or you can get it from Amazon. Yep, I appreciate it. Yep, I got so much to do, y'all. Y'all know Sunday is my Monday, right? Just like Thursday is my Friday. I'll be all hyped up. Sunday, I'll be dragging. Yeah, because Sunday is my Monday, right? So, y'all, we didn't get a chance to finish yesterday because it was so much I was trying to cram in because I didn't want it to overflow into tomorrow because tomorrow we'll be back in the syllabus and I don't want to throw us off too much. And I don't want your mind scattered and all over the place because when you're dealing with mental health and all that, I'll talk about psychological damage, adverse effects and things. That's a lot. It's an overload. Yesterday was like one of my lowest viewed shows. Yep. It could have been because it was boring. It could have been just because it was mental health because that's something that's downplayed, right? It's not normalized to talk about it, right? So a lot of people shy away from it. So as soon as I use too many big words, a couple of y'all probably tuned off, right? And it was to be expected. Yeah, I hate that, but it was to be expected, just like today. It's probably not going to be a lot of y'all to tune in and watch the whole show today because I'm piggybacking off of yesterday and I'm still talking about mental health and I'm still talking about the psychological damage because what I'm illustrating to you is the destruction of a black family. Right? The destruction of a black family. I'm illustrating to you dreams that were deferred. I'm illustrating to you how disorders and addictions can start. I'm illustrating that to you. And the basis of all this is mental health, right? Because for all this to be happening and going on and somebody deliberately doing it, that is the mindset of somebody who's not mentally sane. Right? And when you look at the destruction of this black family, we could have been something together, right? When I tell you that we would have been millionaires today, that's not a figment of my imagination. That's not something that I just threw out there just for the sake of conversation and clout. No, it's the truth. Because we were working as a team and starting with one business and then evolving to several businesses. That's how you generate money. And then when I say that it's generational wealth, yes, my grandchildren would have been able to inherit this cleaning company that I have today, right? It's math. It's not rocket science. It all adds up. Because if everybody had their own business and money coming in from everywhere, why wouldn't we be millionaires? That's a low bar. That's low. I'm trying to be a billionaire. You know what I mean? So being a millionaire, that wouldn't have been nothing to us. Then you got to think about investments. Then you got to think about property. Then you got to think about everybody having their own commercial property. Like, why wouldn't that have happened? Right? So, yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm trying to take us back, right? And then I also was trying to add your personal goals, right? As a parent, you know, a lot of you have personal goals. A lot of you put some of your put it aside for the sake of parenting and raising your children. But now that your children are grown, you know, have you went back to that list? Are you scratching anything off? So it was a mixture of all of that. So I'm gonna try to bring us back, and I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off at, right? So yesterday I was piggybacking off of Friday, because that's when the psychological damage started, right? And the question was posed to you: how do you think that removing that little girl from our life affected my young men, right? And so yesterday I just targeted one young man, which was my little brother. And I targeted him because he wasn't my biological child, but yet I raised him as such. And he was just a good specimen to use because he suffered the most. Right? Meaning that he lost our mom when he was 4. Dad was never around, right? So right then and there, he's already handicapped and at a disadvantage, right? So by me getting custody of him and raising him as my own, I had to do a lot of restoration, a lot of restoring, a lot of fixing, a lot of teaching, a lot of just to bring him up to where he should be at his age, him and my other little brother, right? So I used him yesterday. Right? So let me try to paraphrase, talking about you and your goals and how important it is for you to do what you say you're going to do. If you set a goal for yourself, it's important for you to do it because your children are watching, right? So I let you know that you just don't know how that impacts them, to see you fulfill your goal, to see you, you know, do what you do and actually do it. Say you're going to do something and actually do it, right? Being passionate about something, right? They see your drive. They see your commitment. They see your determination, right? They pick up from that. Right? So we talked about that. I talked about my children being my team and cheering me on with everything that I had done with my life up until then, right? Talked about starting a cleaning company, saying I'm going to start it, and then actually started to where we actually turning keys and punching in alarm codes, right? So they see that it's possible, right? They should be proud of me for doing that, right? Being there every step of the way, seeing it come to fruition, right? Them understanding that the cleaning company was going to be our vehicle to generational wealth, to getting it started, for us to get out there, right? They understood that. They seen the big picture. That's why it was so easy for me to get them to clean them buildings, right? My daughters had a school. They was cleaning the whole school every night. I know you said that's a lot. That's probably why she loved it. Probably so, but I hate if that is the reason, right? And I hate if any adult was on board with that. I hate if any adult was downplaying the fact that I had her working a job and she was getting paid and she was working for a family business, right? For anybody to downplay that and make her feel like she shouldn't, or even not encourage her when she felt like she didn't want to do it, right? Why no adults seen that big picture is like, well, no, this is what you're supposed to do. This your mama business. You supposed, you know, and encouraging her. Instead, the opposite was being said, right? Because that's the only way. No, ain't that terrible? Yeah, that's the only way. So, yeah, so the cleaning company, them understanding, knowing the big picture. Yeah. The book, me saying that I was going to write a book. Them seeing me with my journal every day, right? And then didn't have to have a finished copy, right? Something that they can actually read, right? So yeah, that was a big deal. That was a big deal because from that we started filming for the trailer, right? So before the baby left, we was almost finished filming the trailer. We had about maybe 3 more scenes that I needed to film. And then I was going to send it all over to one of these big producing companies like Chakotay Films and have them put it together in a trailer so I can get more book sales. We were working as a team doing that. We were filming scenes together, right? So if you go through my videos and see, you'll see the last project we did, which was at the airport, right? So they was on board for whatever. We had did the calendar. Remember, we did the first photo shoot with the calendar, all my kids and my little brother. We was a team. We did everything together, right? We was going to make each other's dreams come true, right? We was working together for that common goal, right? So, yeah, we had already did that. So, filming for the trailer of the book, yeah, we was almost there, right? Me starting the youth program. Yeah, my kids was there the first day when nobody signed their kid up, all the way to seeing me on the news. Not only Channel 4, but I was on Channel 2 and Amir Makeupson. That interview with Amir Makeupson. So then I talked about in the background how you can hear my oldest daughter screaming. Like, it's a sense of pride that they should, just being proud of me. Right? Just being proud of me, all of my accomplishments thus far. Right? So, yeah, it should be something for me. Somewhere, some points accumulated, something put aside, something that's my mama. Something should be put aside. I get nothing from this baby, the youngest, the one I did the most for, and not because of favoritism, but because she was the youngest, and by this time she was the only one I was taking back and forth to school. Right? My other babies had already graduated, so she following suit with her older siblings. Yeah, she was the only one I was carting around. So she coming with me after school when I'm setting up at the different schools for the school resource fairs, right? So she coming with me, setting up the tables. She talking to the parents. She passing out the flyers, right? When she wasn't at practice. So it was just, we spent so much time together. Like, I would have been able to see some things. And I didn't. And that's scary, right? Because, see, now you're dealing with two personalities. Now you're dealing with a child that acts perfect when they're around me, but on the other side, they actually not. I know, I don't want to think about that part. Because in my mind, in our segment in 2014, they were perfect. So yeah, I don't want to think about that. Even though I know it's coming, but we don't want to think about that, right? So yeah, just the youth program. So being able to see that growth, right? And being there for me with that. Yeah, because remember, it was no help here, so I started my own program because there was no help for my little brother, children with behavior issues, blah, blah, blah. Go back and look at the video from yesterday. But just know that my children were there for the program, right? So pulling out my little brother, just since then, as he grew older, he started to get some act right in him, right? Yeah, he wasn't, his anger, he had gotten control of his anger. He hadn't been getting in any trouble. He was holding down a job. He was with his family, like had his own place. Like the boys is doing good in 2014. So yeah, up until there, he was getting it together. No addictions, no disorders, no police contact, no more, no. So he knew he was getting it right. Yeah. We was happy for him. Right? We was happy for him. So yeah, but it took a lot to get him there, right? So although I can't take all the credit for him turning it around and getting some get right, I definitely can take credit for everything that I did, all the stilts, all the things that I did to prop him up, right? So then we went as far to talk about what can possibly knock him down, right? Because you got to think about it. A young man goes through a lot. So that's when I tell you, moms, when we're raising these boys by ourselves, a woman can't raise a boy to be a man, right? So they're already at a disadvantage when dad is not there, right? So we definitely got to make sure we have male role models put in place, positive role models, not Ray Ray and Pookie and them, right? So yeah, I did that. So that helped, right? But no matter what I did, there was no way I could fill the void of the loss of our mom and him not having a father, right? But I did all I could, right? So the fact that I did so much, so points, right? So somebody should be keeping score here because, yeah, it should be something for me. It should be something for me, right? So talked about what young men go through, them being targets in the street, from the men and women in blue, from their own kind, from people that don't like them just because of the color of their skin. Then I talked to you about some of the things that I did to counteract that. As far as the police, talk to your children about how they're supposed to respond when they encounter law enforcement, right? That's a serious thing, and that's a real thing. And I had that talk with my young men, so that helped, right? As far as them being targeted by their own kind, I can't do nothing about that, right? It's terrible, but all I can do is to be aware of your surroundings and watch the company that you keep. Right? As far as somebody doing something to them because of the color of their skin or not liking them, yeah, that's something that we've had to deal with for centuries, right? I don't think that's ever going to end, right? But that's just making them aware where you go, certain places, they don't want you there, right? So you're going at your own risk, right? There are such things as sundown times. They do exist, right? So when you have these conversations with your children, that you can only do what you can. So just to know that he had pretty much no childhood trauma, right? So the loss of our mom, he had grieved and gotten through that process, all 5 stages of grief, right? He's gotten through that, not having a father, he's adapted, gotten through that. So no childhood traumas. Like, we were doing so good. You would have thought that dad would have been on board with my system. You would have thought that dad, because all those 14 things that we talked about a couple of days ago was purposely done for no reason. And it caused a lot of problems. Yep, it wrecked that whole system. It wrecked the whole system. So why would a father want to wreck a system that's in place, that's working well for so many, right? Because you got to think about it. The boys were off on their own. My son graduated high school. My oldest daughter graduated high school in a nursing program. The baby going to her 11th grade at Cass Tech. Like, how, you can't get no better than that. For a mom to do all that, you can't get no better than that, right? So you would think dad would have still, because remember, I also suggested that you still be a part of those children's lives when you separate from that parent, right? So when y'all break up, if you help raise children that they had before yours, you still should be connected to those children. You still should have a soft relationship with those children. They still should be able to call and get advice from you, help, resources from you. You should be able to check in with them to see how they're doing, check in with them to see about their growth and development. You should still be a part of their life. You should still be part of the village. Now, I'm not saying be at the point where you there every day and you overstepping your boundaries and you stepping on the toes of the present or current spouse or boyfriend or partner. No, I'm not saying that. Be respectful, but you damn sure shouldn't be enemies with nobody and ops and not talking and just completely cut them off and not have no care and concern, right? My children can ask anybody that I dealt with for help. Now, that baby daddy, you would have thought that he would have been one of those people on the list, but he wasn't, right? Didn't check in, didn't say hi to, only when he saw them and had to. Right? But he should have been more. And if not that, definitely don't do anything to disrupt it. So that baby being pulled out was traumatic. Oh, that was a loss. That was a loss that we shouldn't have had to deal with. Why? Because she's not deceased. Right? So that right there, because a lot of people say I can't just blame everything on the baby. Can't blame it on the baby. She can't. Things was gonna happen anyway. And you're right. Things could have happened. It could have been a lot of stuff that could have made our last 6 years hell. Right? Because even though he's doing good, we done been through a lot with him in these last 6 years that I don't think we should have went through, and I don't think we would have went through if the baby was still in our life. Right? So again, they say it's not that. I can't blame it on that. Okay. But just know that if he would have been going through something in those 6 years, unnecessarily or not, we all would have been able to pull it together as a team and be there for him. But because the baby is not in our life right now, we don't operate as a team anymore. And everybody does their own thing on a solo mission. Everybody has pretty much turned their backs on each other and walked separate ways in separate directions. I know. Would you say, because 2014, y'all was doing everything together. Yeah, we were. And we were doing everything together just up until 6 years ago. I know. You don't. I know. So, let me see. So, the unnecessary things we went through, that's a great loss. So, I think that affected a lot. I don't think it would have happened if the baby was there. Yeah, unnecessary. Us grieving is unnecessary because she's not deceased. You don't get no unnecessary than that. Right? We going through the 5 stages of grief because she's not in our life, but she's not deceased. She just made a conscious choice not to be in our. What child makes a conscious choice not to be in their mama's life and their daddy just be like, okay? When he knows there is no abuse or neglect and there is no other reason, who does that if it's not a calculated plan to do so? Right? So yeah, I'm quite sure that affected us, her not being there. Like, I miss his son just as much as I miss my daughter. The son that he had with his current wife, I miss that little boy as much as I miss my daughter. Like, you could tell everything that was done to me was just set up to hurt me. Severing relationships and just all that. It was really just to purposely hurt me. Somebody actually sat down and thought about, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a voodoo doll that he poke every day. I wouldn't put it past him. Right? I'm actually going to go get some sage and walk through my house today. Right? So, yeah. Yeah. And then I talked about how there's nothing for me, but yet I have worked with different agencies, CPS being one of them. And I've witnessed children kicking and screaming, being taken away from their mama you know what I mean? Kicking and screaming. They would prefer to stay in this poverty, in this situation with their mama on drugs than being pulled away and placed somewhere where they're going to get help and live how they, and I've seen it's for my child not to fight for me, not to cry. Like, something is terribly wrong here, right? Terribly wrong. It's just not adding up. And it shouldn't make sense to nobody that know me. Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't make sense to nobody. And it definitely shouldn't make sense to the baby. And that's where that psychological damage come in there, because something actually happened to where somebody reprogrammed this baby to make her think that it's okay. Somebody reprogrammed her and made her think it's okay for her to be without a mama that loves her, without a mama that was doing what she's supposed to do. Yep. They made her feel like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to disrespect her. It's okay not to talk to her. It's okay not to go see her when you come home. Somebody made this okay. They conditioned her mind to make her think that this is okay and what I'm doing is wrong. Me wanting a relationship with her is wrong. Me wanting to be a part of her life is wrong. Me wanting to be able to be mother and tell her and instruct her and guide her is wrong, right? Fix it, Jesus. Fix it. We talked about that yesterday. We talked about the natural feelings that you should have for your mother, right? For your parents, period. But definitely for your mother. So for me to just be disposed of, yeah, we talked about that. We talked about this far, everything that I had done. It should be some love, admiration, and respect there, right? Just witnessing me do the things that I do. And I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, I do a lot, as you see. I do a lot, have done a lot, all my whole life, right? So to witness that, yeah, it should be something there for me. It should be some points kept. Yeah. So either you did do something as a parent, like I must have done something, yeah, or somebody else is doing it. Like I said, or it's foul play, right? So if you did do something and you apologize with changed behavior, you should be forgiven by your child. Yeah. Now, if you've done something that you didn't know about, but it was brought to your attention and you apologize with changed behavior, you should be forgiven by your child. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it, right? And this is where I struggle, right? Because first of all, I don't know what I did, right? Now, I've been a parent for a long time. I don't had a youth program for over 20 years. I've actually done some of the things that the children complain that their parents don't do for my own children, right? So I cover all bases, right? So there's nothing that I can tell you that I intentionally did to be hated so by my daughter. Right? Nothing. I can't think of not one thing that I didn't do for all the children and would do again. Even when I did my self-reflecting, it was nothing that I would have done different. The only thing that came out different is her spending less time with her father's people. Like, if I would have known what I know now, it probably would have been, every visit would have been supervised. She would not have been left alone with them. Never. She would not have been left alone for them to be able to talk to her, brainwash her, plant seeds, poison the water, destroy everything that I had put together. That's the only thing I would have done different, right? So when I sit back and think about it, there's nothing that I could have done, and there's nothing that I did that I didn't apologize for, right? I apologized to her when I said that you remind me of, like, I still make me feel like I'm still married to your daddy. That was cruel. Oh, I apologized to her for that. I apologized to her for telling her when I took her to her dad's, they don't call me for nothing. Yeah. I had apologized to her, and she said she'd forgive me. And that was shortly after. It was the only two things that I could think. Oh, when I got drunk that day. Yeah, you only need one Long Island from Capers. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Yeah, I still feel bad about that. Yeah, because I was intoxicated. Threw up. Yep, and they saw that. Like, oh my goodness. So embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed. Oh, I'm still embarrassed. Those were the only 3 things that I can think of that I had done that I was wrong and needed to be, I had to apologize. Oh, and then when I got engaged, I didn't know nothing about it, but he gave me the ring, and we took them out that same day, but they felt as if he should have asked their permission, so they was upset about that. Yeah, those are the only 4 things that I can think of. So if that's enough for a child to disown me, oh my God, right? Where are the points, right? Because if I lost some points from those 4 things, when she left, she was 15 and a half. What about everything that I did before that? Like, something should have been able to counteract it. Something should have been able, because it's not like she don't know that forgiveness is important, right? Because I taught that, right? And then also on top of that, I taught the religious class. So that means she was in church, right? So at some point, yeah, and then on top of that, I taught the ethics class. So my children were pretty honest. If they did something wrong, they were quick to come back and apologize. Right? So for none of that to work in my behalf, but yet the grandmother called her the B word on 2 different occasions that I'm aware of. 2 different, and y'all know I don't play that. Why? Because I want my children to know their self-worth. I want them to be confident. So they can't very well be that if you talking down and you berating them and you calling them out their name, right? So that right there, I wanted to put hands on the grandmama, but I couldn't, right? So I addressed Dad, and Dad said he had it under control, but yet and still, my baby is still allowed to go over Grandma's house, right? So the fact that when Grandma get drunk, she called my baby out her name, that's okay. She was able to forgive Grandma for that. So I do know she was taught forgiveness, just not to forgive me, right? Because it's been 6 years. There's no way those 4 things that I did and apologized for is enough to keep a child out of my life for 6 years. No contact, no nothing. A child that was attached to a plan, that was in action and working. It just don't happen. Yeah, it's not like I said I'm going to do a cleaning company and then I just don't do nothing and just keep talking about it all the time and then that's it. No, we was actually working. They was getting paid. My baby had a bank account. Oh, yeah. It's a family business, but they got to get something. You got to keep it going. You got to motivate them, right? So, yeah, they got paid every 2 weeks. I paid 2 of them with my work check and I paid the rest of them when I got the check for the cleaning. Because I still had a 9 to 5, right? So we talked about that. So yeah, so if your child don't forgive you, right? Because that's a natural response for you to forgive. But if your child prefer to just not care and not try to find a solution for you guys, yeah, that's either a mental health issue or foul play. And if it's foul play, it will become a mental health issue, right? Because it shouldn't be. Right? Like my situation is a 1%. Yeah, ain't no daddies turning the daughters against the mamas. That's why it's so hard for you guys to grasp and pay attention and understand and probably think I'm crazy, right? Probably think I did do something wrong. But no, I did everything right. Yeah, not to say I was perfect, but I did everything right. I tried to do everything by the book. I tried to stick to what I know, right? Meaning that how I was raised, paying attention to my aunties and them. I do everything that my grandmamas did for my aunties and for my aunties did for their children. I did the same thing. And I should have the same results. And I did just up until 6 years ago. Yep, all my aunties worked. All my aunties owned their own home. All my aunties took care of their kids. All my aunties went to school. You know what I mean? Same thing. Same thing across the board. Same thing across the board. Same morals, same values, both sides of the family, right? Why is his family so damn different? Ooh, Feast of Jesus is a Christian show. Why was his upbringing and his family and everybody so different that they stand out from everybody in my life? What were they doing that was so different? How was that grandma raised? Why was he raised so different? Like, because I can pull out a couple similarities. One being drug addiction. His daddy was on drugs and my mama was on drugs. So we had more things in common than different, right? So, yeah. So we talked about that yesterday. So yeah, if your child don't want to make up with you, yeah, something ain't right about that. Yeah, because I personally don't know nobody whose daughter just turned their back on their family and their mama and for no reason. For no reason. A mama doing everything she's supposed to do and a child just saying, I don't want her to be my mama no more, and just that. No courts, no CPS, no nothing. How could I have failed her so? If my mission was for us to be famous, successful, and wealthy. And I was working on all of it to make it happen. How could I have failed her so? Right? So one thing I can honestly, one clue that I had to put on my board by me dropping her off that night and then not hearing nothing else from her, she was forced to make a choice. That I can honestly say that had to happen. She was forced to make a choice. And all those manipulation tips had to be used. So that's why it's abuse, right? When you have to force a child to let go of a parent because you don't like them, you still hurt, you mad because they don't want you no more, whatever the reason was, all that is personal. And all that you got to put aside when it comes to co-parenting, right? Because that don't have nothing to do with the baby. Yeah, y'all got to share this baby no matter what. So nothing should have come between that relationship and us co-parenting and both of us being a part of her life. It's abuse if you have to make a child have to choose. A child should never have to choose between the mama and the daddy. Nothing. No. If there is no abuse or neglect, a child should not have to choose between the mama and the daddy. A child needs both of y'all. We should have been able to stand on either side of her, right? No fighting for position, no competing. We can both stand on either side of her. Both take credit for everything that she's doing, right? Her being in cheer. We both could have took credit for that. He paid for it, signed her up. I took her to every practice, right? Her being in golf. He signed her up, paid for everything. I took her to every practice, right? Even threw in midnight golf. Here you go, right? Equal. Both balanced. Both doing, both are involved, right? So, all unnecessary. All unnecessary. Yeah. So in those manipulation tips, you have to condition a child to think that all the good memories that they have to hold on to are bad. Yeah. So that means everything that's good that they say, somebody got to counteract it with something bad or worse. Now, one thing that I do, they know that they had an issue with, I shop at the secondhand store. Yeah, I hated it when I was a kid. Hey, Cynthia, how you doing, baby? Shout out to Flint, Michigan. Yeah, I didn't like it as a kid, but when I got older and started having kids of my own, and I got to the point where I'm managing money, I'm paying bills, I'm taking care of multiple children, I'm paying taxes, mortgage, car note. Yeah, Goodwill sound a little more appealing, right? But I do know that the grandma and the daddy might have had a problem with that, probably talking mess. You know how people talk about people that shop at the secondhand store, they poll, I wouldn't wear nobody else's stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, little do you know when you shop out there with the Caucasian people, a lot of the stuff at the secondhand store be brand new. A lot of the stuff have tags on them, and a lot of the stuff is name brand. So when people used to see my kids and they look like they had on Gucci and this and that, chances are they probably did. Because I shop at a secondhand store and I know how to go, I know where to park, and I get pick up on bargains. I'm very frugal, right? So always been that way, always been on top of money management. It just is what it is, right? When you're taking care of a lot of kids and you're trying to stretch and you're trying to make a lot happen with a little, you have to learn how to budget. You have to learn how to manage money, and you can't live beyond your means, right? So I'm quite sure that they used to talk mess about me doing that. Because if they can't find nothing else to talk about, right? You can't talk about me raising my brothers. You can't talk about me taking care of his daddy after he left us. You can't talk about me building a house and putting my kids in it. If you're not talking about me starting my program, not talking about me, my book, not talking about me and my offices, like if you're not talking about nothing positive, you shouldn't be talking about talking to my baby. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm quite sure one day she probably, and this is all, I don't know, because I still don't know what I did wrong. This is hypothetical. Yeah, hypothetical. Just if. Only because I know the people and I know the characters involved. And so I'm just making up stuff at this point. Yeah, because somebody can easily say, I ain't say that. And they probably didn't. So I'm letting you know something similar had to have happened for my child to feel the way she feel about me. Enough more so to where she don't want to have nothing to do with me. Right? So I'm quite sure one of those outfits from the Goodwill she wore over there, looking so cute in, probably loved it, probably picked it out herself and ironed it and put it on, probably matched her hair bows or her little beads that I probably did her hair, like, you know. I'm quite sure that drunk ass grandma, Fix It Jesus Christian Show, probably said something like, where she get it from, the Goodwill? I wish somebody would buy me something from the Goodwill. And just, you could think about it, about 5 or 6 different things that she could have possibly said about that Goodwill outfit to make a little girl feel bad about wearing anything from the Goodwill, to do anything to make her feel bad about how she looked, her self-esteem, her confidence shook. All of that had to have happened at that. But can you see the abuse? Can you see it? Can you see it? Yeah. Why though? Why steal little girl's joy? Right? Why attack her mama? Right? I ain't never did nothing to these people. Yeah, if anything, I made her respect them. I made sure she loved and respected them. And I made sure that they had equal time with her. Right? I decorated her room. Again, I shop at the thrift store. And I did for her room. Yeah. Went to the Goodwill, bought a dresser, painted it, decorated it. I had it on my story yesterday. I posted it on my page, but I had it in my story yesterday because I thought I was going to be able to get through everything yesterday, and I did. But, yeah, just so you can see what that dresser looked like, though, right? Now, the bed did come from Art Van. Set me back a pretty penny. It was lime green to fit the forest, right? So it was Joanne Fabrics. A couple dollars went there, you know. So just to have all the flowers hanging, I sewed the curtains by hand. I painted the dresser. Just when you walk into you can hear monkeys, as you walk in there, right? Tinkerbell beds, so pretty, right? Grandma ain't never come over and look at it. Dad ain't never stepped foot in my house. Dad didn't come over and look at it to see how pretty it is. Like, that's something that my other daughter's grandma would have come over and look at it. Oh, it's so cute, right? Didn't come, probably talked about it. Probably the only thing they had to say about it was where she get the stuff, the Goodwill, right? Not looking at it, not telling her how pretty it is. And this was her idea that I brought to life. I painted it, I decorated it. Yeah, that's the type of stuff that I did. It should be points racked up for me. It should have been some points racked up. Some of that stuff should have been memorable, right? So by me knowing that didn't mean anything to her, no sentimental value, no nothing, that lets me know that it's a good chance that somebody was probably conditioning her mind to think everything that she went through with us was bad. Yeah, as if she was growing up in poverty. And that's hard to believe because I kept a foreign vehicle just up until I started doing the jail tour for the girls. Right? Yeah, that Range Rover, I wasn't about to keep taking that back and forth to Ipsy. Right? So I switched up and got something a little more economical and reliable considering I'm transporting children to a jail tour, right? So, yeah, but other than that, before that, we was, BMW. We went through the whole Range Rover family. Like, I'm quite sure some of y'all seen me, right? So she wasn't, we should have been equally balanced, equally yoked, even with our separation and divorce. We both had a house. Right, so we both homeowners, we both working, both employed, right? Both had vehicles, right? And I got a motorcycle, right? And we both, so we should have been equally yoked to the point where it shouldn't have been too much of an off balance. It shouldn't have been too much to where they sitting up here and I'm sitting down here. Like, yeah. So we talked about that. So mental health definitely playing a part somewhere. Right? Who allows a child to disrespect their mom? Who allows a child to just go without talking to their mom? Right? Who encourages a child not to talk to their mama and not to have a relationship with their mama, right? Not nobody that go to church and believe in God. Definitely not nobody that. Especially not nobody big mom. I definitely would have thought that his mama would have said something by now, right? Unless she part of the plan. And I definitely would have thought his sister, by her having a master's in social work, I thought dad would have woke up. Yeah, I thought dad probably would have noticed some changes in her, because I'm quite sure there are some changes there. You can't tell me that a child that just all of a sudden just ripped from her mom and just having feelings about her mom, harboring hateful feelings, and the mom ain't never did nothing to her. You can't tell me that she's not suffering from nothing psychologically. You can't tell me that. Right? So it got to be something. Changing her behavior, anxiety, anger issues, weight gain. Something has to be going on for dad to be like, you know what, something might not be right. Maybe I think she needs to talk to her mama. I'm sorry for what I did. Let me try to make this connection and make this right. Because dad's the only one that can make it right. Yeah. So if you're under the impression that just because your child grown, if you haven't had a relationship with your baby is a strain, and you think just because your child grown that they're going to come back to you, or they grown, they can make that decision. No, it's deeper than that. If a child has been removed from you, there's no abuse or neglect. It's just because that mama or that daddy turned this child against you. That child has a mental disorder right now. It's a mental block that's keeping that baby from coming to you. So I don't care how old that baby gets. Unless dad sets it straight or mom sets it straight or that child goes get therapy, they're not going to come back to you. Like, I don't come on every morning for me. This is for y'all. My situation is already done. I'm already in the part of acceptance in my grief stage. Yep, I done already went through all the 5 stages of grief. Even though she's not deceased, I have to go through the motion because she's not here. Right? So I'm already in the acceptance stage. So yeah, these videos are not for me. These videos are for you. So you don't make the same mistake we did. And it's a good way that you can probably connect and keep that village tight for your children. Because that's what's missing right now. These children don't have a village. And you have to be responsible for that. Right? So when that baby, y'all break up, that baby is the connector for both sides. I had a village. My mom and dad, I got both their sides in my life, right? Because I was the connector. They didn't turn on each other. They didn't talk about each other. My grandma and them didn't talk about my mama's drug addiction and abuse. They mentioned the sickness. I knew it was something, but they didn't talk bad about my mama. And same thing, my mom and them didn't talk bad about my dad. They actually ask how each other is doing when I speak to them. Yep. So let me see, we talked about that yesterday. Mental abuse. So just think, what if my child not liking me just because I shop at the Goodwill? I know it's funny, but just think about that. If that was all they had to go on, or the fact that I probably told her no about some shoes or something, and instead of them agreeing and understanding why, they made it like a big deal and talked about it and made me seem away and talked down about me not having it or doing it, or made me... What if that's the only thing that's keeping her from me? I know. Because why would that be the focus, right? So talked about the bedroom, Pretty Penny. Yeah, so it should be some points there. I should have a place in her life. Yep. I know y'all got so much written down here. Oh. Yeah, so who would encourage a child to do that? So yeah, now you can see that it's not so much that the baby is gone, even though it is, but it's in the manner of how. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been different if something was really going on and she chose to leave, or things were put in place to make sure that she's got... Yeah, but if there's no abuse or neglect, and if I'm doing all of these things and she's doing everything that I wrote about in my book, why wouldn't I be a part of that? So see, that's why it's so much psychological damage and it was so much destruction in our family, because none of these questions can be answered. Because it wasn't a problem. It wasn't even no reason for her to go stay with dad. The night that I dropped her off and we got into it, I was picking her up like I had been doing for all those years. Picking her up the night before school so she can go home and get ready and prepare for the next day. Right? That was the routine. For the reason I cannot understand, because I had a job, that was flexible enough for me to be able to take her to school, that was part of my plan to make sure I have a job, flexible enough to be able to take her to school. She only had 2 years left at Cass Tech and then off to college, right? So to be deprived of that time with my baby, for her to be out of our life all this time, for me not to be there for her while she in college, right? That's another thing that doesn't add up. So it's so much confusion in our family, and we have so many dysfunctions now, and all just within the last 6 years, right? So it's like you can't make sense of nothing that's not there, and you can't solve a problem that doesn't exist, right? So we forever in circle, in limbo right now. And that's how we're going to continue to be until that baby is put back in her rightful place in our life, right? Always forever in limbo. Why he wanted that for us, I know he did. I know why he did it for me. But for the kids to be affected, for somebody to play with my kids' heads like that, for them to go through what they're going through right now, because that definitely affected us in more ways than one, right? Just from her being taken out and the boys not being respected like they should be, in her life like they should be, protecting her like they should be. I already told you that probably lives rent-free in their head, the fact that they couldn't keep her here. The fact that they couldn't protect her, right? Even though she with her dad, it's nonetheless, she's out our life. Because why staying with dad includes not talking, right? What sense do any of that make? But to school, you got to look at all the contributions that were given on my side. Because both of y'all have to put in contributions for that baby, right? So their contributions was dad went to school, didn't graduate. Sister went to school, graduated with her master's in social work. That's beautiful, right? My side, my sister graduated, master's in social work, and they went to visit her in school, right? One of my little cousins graduated twice with master's degrees. All women, mind you. She attended both graduations, right? Seeing me walk across the stage, and not only seeing me walk across the stage, but seeing me go to school and walk across the that's more contributions on my side than his, and it's not to compete. Understand that. We both should have been able to be there her first day of school. Yeah, so I'm not giving you those statistics and those numbers to compete or I'm better. No, it's just to let you see both contributions should have been accepted, right? And mine's especially. To not be invited to the table, to not be a part of it, all that's personal. Oh, and I'm going to add that I had her watching the Cosby Show in a different world, right? You'll be surprised the impact that had, right? To not be at her school, not to see her, not to go, not to know where it don't make sense. None of it makes sense whatsoever. On top of her being able to, because she looked like me, right? So representation is important, right? And my other cousin yellow. So we, you know what I'm saying? Fix it, Jesus. So yeah, so we talked about the psychological damage. I know we can't tailor it all back because of the baby leaving, but just to let you happen just within 6 years. I'm 52. My kids was in their 20s, right? So just to be affected just within the last 6 years, for it to be such a shift, for us to be set back so far, right? Because I had got us so far. Oh my God, we have got so far. Not only were we moving in a good direction with the businesses, right? But just mentally, right? My children's minds, their mindset, like they didn't have no ghetto mentality. Like we was moving up, right? We was moving. Their mind was not of this place, right? You talking about my children thinking about businesses. They thinking about credit. They thinking about home ownership. They thinking about entrepreneurship. They thinking about how to start businesses, right? What the hell? Yeah, they was not the typical. Yeah, they was not. So let me see. So we talked about that yesterday. I'm trying to bring us up to speed. I know mental health was very important. That was one of the things. Now going back to your goals, right? And I talked about that when your child see you staying on task, following through, setting goals, and actually completing them. It fuels the fire for them to go after their dream, right? Everything starts at home. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we can pick back up tomorrow with part 45 of raising your daughters, right? Y'all know I'm working on my own goals. Organization is one of them, and time management. Because, since everything happened, it threw everything so off track to where I'm doing more than what I should be doing because I'm doing everything that they would have been doing. So now I have to manage my time a little bit better to make sure I get everything done, right? So a lot has been missed these last 6 years because I'm so busy trying to restore and rekindle and reteach certain things with the children that's still in my life to where I'm not able to move forward. I'm not able to learn as much as I should be learning right now. I'm moving forward, but I'm not able to move as fast as I would like to move because it's just me now, right? So to go from a team of 5 to just 1 and still be able to handle and manage is taking the place of a lot of stuff that I should be doing right now. Like right now, by me being in a place where I should have money, I should be spending more time with my grandchildren. Yeah, I should be spending more time with my family, going to visit my aunts, right? Taking them out, right? Doing nice things for them, taking trips. Like, I shouldn't be working as hard as I work right now. And that's not to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just I should be doing something different. But because of that trauma, that incident, her being taken out, it affected us in such a way, right? Nobody seen it coming. I did not see it coming. When I tell you before this all blew up, I had just seen her, just hugged and kissed her. She just looked me in my face and told me how much she loved me. And then to go from that to 2 days later or a week later, she blow up at me and want to stay with him and then we don't hear from her no more. So that means she was being fake. Either she was being fake or two totally different personalities have developed, right? All that's mental. Dad to do these things, that's mental. That's a mental issue there. Unresolved childhood trauma can be a result of it, right? Unresolved issues can be a result of it. Whatever it is that was not dealt with and he had not healed from has affected my daughter. And as a result of her being affected, it has affected the rest of my children. And the end result is we are dysfunctional now. We have a lot of issues going on now. There are disorders present. There are addictions present. I couldn't say that back in 2014. I can't even couldn't say that 6 years ago. I couldn't have said that just 6 years ago, right? So I know you probably don't want to correlate it with the baby or equate it with the baby being gone, but just know if she was a part of our life, we wouldn't have experienced none of that we've experienced these last 6 years, right? So I think that's it. I do want y'all to check out, what's the name of the dang on movie? No Lies, Something Lies. Damn, I can't even think of the Something Lies. Y'all gonna make me run in the house and go look. House of Lies. House of Lies. Yep, I know it's old. But when I tell you I done fell asleep and woke up a couple times throughout the seasons, and I done seen, well, Don Cheadle, he's the star. Him and Christian Bale. I love them two together. But I done seen Nia Long get sprinkled up in this show. I done woke up and seen T.I. and Mekhi Phifer in this show. I done woke up and seen Glenn Turman in this show. Greg German is in this show. And Lawrence Tate is in this show. Richard Schiff is in this show. These are a couple people that I named that I've seen from other shows and enjoyed them. I enjoyed them in this show just the same. So yeah, guys, that and yeah, me working on my personal goals, being more organized. Do you know that to the interview, the date and time and all that? And then he sent me another email thanking me for being a guest on the show. And I know that don't mean nothing to nobody, but it just lets me know I got to step my game up because I don't do that. Like, I send a text message with all the information and directions and everything. And then when after the show, I send you the picture that we took. I send you a link and I say thank you for being the guest, but to get the email or elaborate and all, yeah, I gotta step my game up. So y'all, that's it. I got a lot to do today. I hope y'all enjoy. Hey, Miss B. Hope y'all enjoy y'all Sunday. I know it was confusing. I just had to play makeup from yesterday. So watch the show from yesterday and then it'll probably make sense to you today. Okay, I'm out. Mwah.